Hello everyone. Tonight we're going to be working on Module 1, Lesson 9, and this involves adding decimals using place value strategies, specifically a place value chart, but then we're going to relate that to using a written method to add decimals. We're going to start off by adding 2/10 to 6/10. As you can see, we're going to be using the unit form, and we're going to use a place value chart and place value discs, which are simply dots placed in the correct column. So I'm going to use a blue disc to represent these 2/10, and I'm going to look at the tenths column, and I'm going to put 2 dots in the tenths column. Next, I'm going to look over to my next number, 6/10, and I'm going to use a green pen to represent these. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discs in the tenths column to represent those 6/10. And of course, to add them together, all I have to do is look at the whole number, and I have 2, 4, 6, 8 tenths total. So when I write it in standard form, I'm going to write 2/10 plus 6/10, and I'm going to add the 2 in the tenths column to the 6 in the tenths column, so I'll have a total of 8 in the tenths column, and I'll still have a 0 in the ones place, so my answer will be 8/10. Okay, now I'm going to be adding 2 ones, 3/1000 to 6 ones and 1/1000. You may notice that now that I'm using more places in the place value chart, I've stopped writing the names of each column out, and I'm using just numbers instead because it doesn't take up so much space. You are welcome to use either words or numbers as long as the columns are labeled. It's fine. So I'm going to start off by using my blue pen to represent the 2 ones and 8 and 3/1000. So I'm going to put 2 blue discs in the ones place and 3 blue discs in the thousands place. Then I'll be using the green pen to make the discs for the second number, 6 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones and 1/1000th. And then I'm going to count up everything in each place, and in the ones place I have 2 plus 6, which is 8 ones. And I've got, in the tenths place I have 0, so, and the hundredths place also has 0, and in the thousands place I have a total of 4 discs, so my answer is 8 and 4/1000. Now I'm going to use a written method to add those two numbers together. 2 ones and 3/1000 plus 6 ones and 1/1000. 3 plus 1 is 4. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0 again. I have to make sure I put my decimal there. And 2 and 6 is 8. I have 8 and 4/1000. Okay, now it's time for you to try a problem. 2/10 5/1000 plus 6/100. So I'd like you to use a place value chart and the written method so you can see how the two relate, and you'll write your answer onto the Edpuzzle quiz question. Oops, sorry. All right, this next one is slightly more difficult. We're going to take a step up and we're going to do some regrouping now. So I'm going to be adding 1 and 8/10 to 13/10. And I'm going to use the blue pen to make desks to represent 1 and 8/10. So I have 1 disc in the ones place, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 discs in the tenths place. And my second addend is 13/10. Well, I know that 10/10 is 1 whole. So this 1 and 13/10 actually goes over here in the ones place, because 10/10 is 1 whole. And then I have 3 other tenths left over. Now I'm going to add up everything in the column so I can see what my totals are. And I'm going to start on the right-hand side, just because when we add using the written method, we always start on the right-hand side. So just in case there is regrouping, we can do it properly. And I see that over here I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I'm going to circle 10 dots, and those 10/10 are going to equal 1 more 1. So I'm moving them from the tenths place over into the ones place. And then I have 1/10 left over. So now I have 1/10, and then I have a total of 3 in the ones column. My answer is 3 and 1/10. Now the written method would be 1 and 8/10. A little bit of technical difficulties here. 1 and 8/10 plus 13/10, which is the same as 1 and 3/10. 8 plus 3 is 11. So I'm going to leave 11/10. So I'm going to leave 1 of those 11 in the tenths place, and the other 10/10 will be 1 whole. So now I have a total of 3 wholes over here. My answer comes out to 3 ones and 1/10. 3 and 1/10. Okay, on to our next problem. 100 and 8/100 plus 2 ones and 4/100. So I'll use the blue, whoops, that's not blue, that's blue. Blue to represent the 100 and 8/100. So that will be 1 disc in the hundredths place and 8 discs in the hundredths place. And then I'm using the green pen to represent 2 ones and 4/100. So I have 2 in the ones place and 4 in the hundredths place. And now I'm going to go back and count the totals in all of my place value columns, and I'll be starting again at the hundredths place because it's the place furthest to the right, and I'm going to separate out 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hundredths, and I'll move those over to make 1/10. And I have 2 left over in the hundredths place. Now I have 1/10 in the tenths place, my decimal. I have a total of 2 in the ones place, 0 in the tenths place, and 1 in the hundredths place. So it's 102 and 12/100 will be my answer. Now I'm going to use the written method. 100 and 8/100 plus 2 and 4/100. So 8 plus 4 equals 12, at 12 hundredths. So the 2 hundredths will stay in the hundredths place, and the 10 from the 12 is going to be regrouped, and it's going to turn into 1/10. So I have a total of 1/10 in the tenths place. 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. And 1 in the hundredths place plus 0 in the hundredths place is 100. So I have 102 and 12 hundredths. Okay, it's time for you to try one with regrouping. You're going to add 148 thousandths plus 7 ones and 13 thousandths. It's going to be important to use a place value chart. Make sure you have all your digits in the right place, because if you don't, you will not be getting the right answer. All right, the last step of today's lesson will be adding numbers where we have to regroup twice. So we're going to add 74 hundredths plus 59 hundredths. And the 74 hundredths will be represented by the blue discs. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blue discs in the tenths place, and 4 blue discs in the hundredths place. And I'm going to move over here to 59 hundredths, and I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green discs in the tenths place, and I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green discs in the hundredths place. So I'm going to start at the right, and I'm going to see if I have a group of 10. I'm pretty sure I do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I should have made this smaller pen for this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to move that right over here and fill in that empty space. And then I have 3 left over in the hundredths place. Now I'm going to look at the tens place, and I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 with 3 left over. And these 10 are going to move over the 10 tenths, make one whole. So I'll have a 1 in the ones place, and my final answer will be 1 and 33 hundredths. So let's try the written method and see if we get the same answer. 74 hundredths plus 59 hundredths. And when I add 9 to 4, I get 13, which will be 3 in the hundredths place. And I'll regroup 10 hundredths to make 1/10. Then I have 1 plus 7 plus 5, which is going to be 13 tenths, which means there's a 3 in the tenths place, and I will regroup 10 of those tenths to make 1, 1, and that's my only one. So my answer is the same answer I got when I used the place value chart. Okay, last problem for you to solve. 7 and 44 hundredths plus 774 thousandths. So please make a place value chart and put the discs in, regroup when you have to, and try to relate that to the written method. Then show me what your answer is on the Ed Puzzle quiz. All right, good luck. I'll see you in class tomorrow.